Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 47th edition of the BDE Sports Talk Podcast. Here to give you the latest scoop in the world of sports in the great state of Michigan and the great city of Detroit. This week, we give you the final weekly Red Wings update, the weekly Tigers update. We discuss the new 2-week plan for the Pistons and a little Lions news as well. I am Bill, one of three co-hosts, along with the D and E of the BDE. Big Dean and Big Ed. How you guys doing?
Well, I was doing all right until you made that comment about me being big, but pretty good. Pretty good.
Doing sweet, especially now that you said I'm big.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So we can talk about this outside, but I'd like to. We kind of talked about it last week. Our whole doing a weight loss challenge, and because Eddie, you said you're going to start going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Dean, you were going to do an app,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to do sweating to the oldies.
Dean was talking about appetizers.
He's on a strict app diet.
Apps for instead of
The only
for his
thing I
main.
followed is like the fasting schedule. Other than that, I have not.
I mean, that'd be a good like a 30-dayer to see where you're at.
The fasting
30
schedule.
Oh, dude, he'll drop. Yeah, big
Dean?
time. Anybody, you do the
I think-
fasting? Oh yeah, like
Well, I think
legit.
we could.
That's how I maintain my weight. I just fast, but then I gain it all back on the weekend. So it's my cheat day.
Well, then we
days.
should do that. Go 3 different routes to weight loss and see what happens. I kind of get the easiest one, but
Well, you have to find a VHS player. And...
no, YouTube did.
Oh yeah, I guess you do that.
YouTube did.
YouTube did.
Come on, bro.
So, yeah, that we could do that. We'll start. Maybe we'll get together and whoever wins, I don't know. Whoever wins. But the people can follow along. Just see our faces just getting skinnier and skinnier.
Whoever loses has to eat a balut egg.
Oof.
Now we're really hoping you lose.
That's not bad. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's not.
No real reward. Just the
Just a
reward would be
punishment.
watching when you guys eat a
Yeah,
balut egg.
that's the
The
reward.
person who's last. I'm
Yeah.
the one doing sweating to the oldies.
Hey, but you chose sweating to the old.
You're the one who said, "Oh, I had
I'm
these
gonna-
as now look at
Me.
you."
Me and Richard Simmons are about to become real good friends.
I was gonna say you could have done the Richard Simmons workouts.
Well, he's a sweating to the oldies guy.
Oh, I was thinking Jane Fonda. I
Classic.
just picture you in some in your old wrestling. Your old wrestling singlet, just trying to do like the yoga pose. Yeah, just watching that movie with John Travolta. I don't remember what it's called.
Grease?
No, there's one movie with I can't remember the lady's name from Freaky Friday or whatever, with Lindsay Lohan and the mom.
You talking about Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. That's right. Yeah, him and John Travolta and her were in a movie she was like a dance instructor, and he's like, I don't know. You'd have to find the video. It's funnier than what I would explain it.
I would hope.
Exactly.
So this all goes back to weight loss. And before we begin our weight loss, we should head to our official sponsor, Adobo Boy. They are the official sponsor of the BD Sports Talk podcast. 3 co-hosts, 3 Filipinos who love a good Filipino meal. And Adobo Boy delivers just that, with that amazing food and those amazing vibes. Unmatched in the food industry. By the time everyone sees this, it will be the day of the grand opening, because this will probably come out Saturday morning, if not Friday night. If you are in the Grand Rapids area and you are watching this, get to Adobo Boy for the grand opening. It is this Saturday, April 20th, 11:30 to latest 8:30, but until food runs out. live DJ, live performers, karaoke if you like to sing on the stick. Delicious food, great time. Should get there. Dean, you and I went a couple weekends ago. It was an awesome time. It's because of Ace and Jackie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They made us feel right at home. And the food is absolutely amazing. Not only do they have delicious food, they also go against the grain of a traditional restaurant and tinker with their menu to bring you an amazing variety of Filipino cuisine. Their menu rotates weekly, so there's always a reason to come back to try more authentic Filipino food. But one dish you can count on that is not on there this week, but by the time you see this, it'll be the week after. Pork's red adobo. Red's pork adobo bowl, iconic Filipino dish. Dean, we all know it's braised in pork, but what else is it?
It's braised in pork.
I'm off my game tonight.
Man, that's some crazy pork. It's tender pork braised in soy sauce and vinegar.
Yes.
Comes on a bed of rice with cucumber and Jackie's achara or papaya salad, and also has a fried egg on top. Amazing food. It's sweet and salty. It's what you'd want out of a dish. I like to eat it separately, like Ace recommends, but these guys like to mix them together. You should buy 2 on the grand opening and try it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if they're serving it on the grand opening.
Oh, well.
I think they're doing
whatever it's on the menu.
I think they're doing bar. I know. And
why did I make this spiel?
I'll talk to Ace. Talk to Ace. I will. Sorry. But there will be chicken in the salad, which is chicken on a steak. So if you're into trying new and different foods or would just like some amazing adobo and vibes, stop into Adobo Boy, where owners Ace, Jackie, and Red, amazing people who genuinely care about your experience. Eddie, give the people the 3 pillars to Adobo Boy.
3 pillars, baby. Easy does it. The first one, obviously, you're going to go there. You're going to get an amazing atmosphere. Ace, Jackie, Red, they're gonna make you feel at home there, and you can't beat that. I mean, number 2, you're gonna get the best food. I mean, you just are. I mean, you can't go to a place like that and not expect to get great cuisine that you don't get on a regular basis, that you can get there every day. And on top of that, you get a great atmosphere, you get the great food, and you get that food at 5% off just by saying BDE Sports Talk Podcast. That's it. You go there, you get amazing food by saying, say your order, and then you get 5% off by saying BDE Sports Talk Podcast. It doesn't get better than that, man. Food, atmosphere, 5% off BDE Sports Talk Podcast. You can't beat it.
No, you can't. You can't beat 5% off. Adobo Boy is open Tuesday to Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch and 5 to 7:30 for dinner. And on Saturday, same schedule, except open for dinner until 8:30 p.m. Adobo Boy is located at 3740 28th Street Southeast in Kentwood, Michigan, inside the amazing Myanmar restaurant, which there is a sign that says Adobo Boy on the front. So they share the building together, and yeah, it's great. Get there, get fed, get happy. It's always better at Adobo Boy. And let's get into it. And we are going to start with our final weekly Red Wings update. It's over, fellas. It's over. Heck of a season. 2-1 loss to Washington. Last week proved to be the eventual dagger as Washington beat Philly last night, which was Tuesday, to earn the last wild card. Detroit went 3-0-1 to finish. 41, 32, and 9 overall at 91 points, but just was not enough to get in. Dean, how you feeling? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's obviously a little disappointing. I mean, we wanted them in. I mean, that's nothing's better than some playoff hockey, especially when the Red Wings are in it. But in the end, they did improve point total wise. They won out at the end like they needed to do. They did what they had to do at the end, but they just couldn't do what they needed to do earlier, which was obviously beat Washington, which, like you said, was the dagger. In the end, it was the dagger. It was the slow burn that killed them off in the end. That and there was a lot of inconsistency leading up to those games. They really shouldn't have even been in that position if you want to really dive into it. But overall, you saw the improvement in the season. They have young guys that are talented. Hopefully they can keep. And I mean, the future looks pretty bright. So, and I guess the biggest question would be is if Patrick Kane sticks around for another year, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, Bill, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. You start talking. I was like, yeah, I agree, Dean. Pretty much everything you said. Eddie, how you feeling?
I don't feel great. I mean, I really don't. I mean, what should have been a playoff season ends the same as the 7 seasons before it, without qualifying for the playoffs. It was tough to see the team stir at the end. Basically the same as last year. This season we finished 8-15 in our last 23, last quarter of the season. Last year we finished 7-16. I don't like if Tortorella hadn't pulled that goalie, or if the rules were different for, Bettman or whatever, if you're relying on somebody else to help you get into the playoffs or whatever, you're often going to get what you deserve as opposed to get what you want. And that, to me, that was the case. I mean, I'm just not one of those people who feel super happy about the season. Before the season, after they signed DeBrincat, I said, this is a playoff team. It should be a playoff team. It didn't happen. It just feels like so many missteps happened to end up as close to the playoffs as possible without actually getting in. I mean, you start with, the injuries certainly played a part, right? You can't discredit what Larkin means to the team. Wallman as well, which it really hurt us, I think, at the end. For a while, I mean, DeBrincat might as well have been injured. I mean, the guy disappeared during that crucial portion of the season where we really needed him to step up. It didn't happen. But the players in general, I probably blame the least. The uninspired coaching of Lalonde and some of his line changes kind of seemed to slow the team down during the season, I thought. You get to other stuff like getting swept this season by a 27-win Arizona team, Phoenix. Win one of those against that terrible team, you're in. Maybe don't lose in overtime to the worst team in hockey this season in San Jose at home. And definitely don't lose the must win at home against Washington or Pittsburgh. Washington was coming off a 6-game skid, as we talked about last week. And then you lose to Pittsburgh also. Another must win. So, and not to mention, I mean, we lost the season series to the Caps 2 out of 3 games. So to me, that's uninspired hockey. I put that on Lalonde. And of course, Steve Yzerman. I mean, nobody else has been in that building longer making the decisions than him. 5 years into our rebuild. Improvements, sure. But it's the Red Wings, man. We're not talking about the Sabres. We're not talking about the Coyotes. We're talking about the Red Wings, and we're still not in the playoffs 5 years into the rebuild. I said it at the deadline. It rang true. Not going out and acquiring a top tier defenseman, I really think cost them. I really do. Kind of the same way I felt about Brad Holmes not going out and getting an edge rusher at the deadline for the Lions. I think it really cost them. I mean, heck, even if you don't go out and sign someone and move Edvinson up 2 to 3 weeks earlier, because I'm not even sure 2 to 3 more weeks in Grand Rapids was the difference in his development anyway.
Right.
But let's say he prevents a handful to a dozen more goals from being scored during that stretch. We're in the playoffs right now. Disappointing end to a promising season. One word that I would describe this season to me is underachieved. And you can put it on a lot of things, like I mentioned. To me, it's the makeup of the team at the end of the day. Because if you can't survive without one guy, your team's not there. Not to mention the guy who's been there the longest. Look, that's why I'm mostly not in favor of hiring hometown hero kind of guys, because they get that extra leeway that wouldn't be given to other people. Ken Holland had what, like 1 or 2 seasons they didn't make the playoffs and he was out after having been the GM of the team while we've won a Stanley Cup. I'm just saying.
I disagree. I personally, if you're not wrong, I mean, I think Yzerman
Obviously.
definitely has been there the longest, but I feel like he's the type of GM that lets the coach do the coaching. I don't know if he really does a lot of his own, like, I'm sure he does put in, I mean, he's the freaking GM and he's Steve Yzerman. Of course, he's going to put in some sort of, I mean, he's going to have a say, in the end. But I do think a lot of it falls on Lalonde as to why they're not in the playoffs. I think he put together the talent and the team for Lalonde and the Red Wings to be successful, even adding Patrick Kane, 30 games in. I mean, it was a big move, and that obviously proved to be a huge signing for them, and possibly what kept them in the race as long as they did. They might have sputtered even earlier without him. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I do see the improvement in the team, and I think next year, if they weren't to make it next year with the same squad, then I would completely agree with you with Yzerman. But you're not wrong with the hometown hero stuff either.
I mean, you could talk about goals. You could talk about offensive players like Kane and whatnot, but we're 9 points up in late February, in the playoff race. We're 26th in the league in goals allowed. Why are we not going and getting a defenseman? Or at minimum, bringing up, and you're going to put that on Lalonde? Does Lalonde make that call? Does he go sign and trade guys?
I bet he has a say as to whether who gets called up or not, I'm sure. Now,
He
trading,
does,
you're not
but
wrong.
if Stevie White does it, what is Lalonde going to do? Is he going to quit? No.
Maybe.
No, he's going to handle it and do what he's supposed to do.
So I agree both ways. So I agree that some blame has to be placed on Yzerman for not getting a defenseman. That said, what was the asking price for the defenseman that they would have needed? Because if it's given away, Austin Zarnik or, youth, whatever the case may be, every year since he's gotten there, they've gotten better. Now, to your point, there were expectations, right? But when Husso went down, which obviously now hindsight being 2020, it was our best goalie. Once he goes down, and I know you said one person shouldn't make the team, but that one person is Dylan Larkin. He's their captain. Which, it's kind of, I don't know if you call it hypocrisy or whatnot, but isn't that why you brought Patrick Kane in, though, too? That veteran leadership, whatever the case may be. But I mean, Dylan Larkin's a big hole. That'd be like losing Jared Goff. You'd feel like, right? In a way. I mean, he's their leading point getter.
Yes and no, because Larkin doesn't have the puck in his hands or on his stick every single play on the team. Whereas
yeah,
Goff,
that's fair.
He's touching the ball every single time on offense, obviously. That's the only difference, but I see what you're saying, though.
It may be more like losing Sewell.
Okay. Yeah, that's
an emotional guy, but very important, a crucial part of the team. But you should be able to win still.
In general. 7 doesn't help. I agree. But with that said, as far as Yzerman goes, every year they've gotten better. And they were 11 points better this year. 6 more wins. The second half, I didn't have that stat, so that's a good stat to have. But where does that that fall on Lalonde more than Yzerman? You know what I mean? They got good young talent. I mean, he always said he wanted to build this team through the draft. Not a big fan. I mean, Philadelphia had to do what they had to do. And you kind of hit it on the head. You shouldn't have to rely on other teams to get in, right? You had control of your destiny. When you lost to Washington, that was, that's essentially what lost it for you. Pittsburgh obviously didn't help, but I mean, they were keeping it close in must-win games with Montreal.
Dude, don't get swept by Arizona this year.
Right.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Stop making excuses for these guys. They, again, for the 8th year in a row, cannot make the playoffs. Yeah, they got close, but guess what? They're still not in. You can get as close as you want and not get in. You're still not in.
Is that a natty daddy or a haterade? Jeez.
It's the truth.
Is
what it is.
Didn't know you hated Steve Yzerman so much.
I don't. I love Stevie Y. I grew up watching the guy. He's the captain. He is the captain. But you know what? Nobody else has been around making decisions around that place longer than he has, and they still haven't made the playoffs. On a team that should have made the playoffs in an obvious position at the deadline where we should have got a defender or at least moved Edvinsson up. Minimum. Yeah. I love Stevie Y. They have improved every year. I think I said that right at the beginning. But they should not be home now.
I agree.
They should be preparing for a playoff series.
Okay. But see, coming from being a Michigan fan, for example, we're
not going to violate the rules to win. All right. All right. Just take it easy. Is that what you're looking for?
I need someone to be in this organization.
We need somebody to step up.
I need someone to get into the locker room of the Capitals. Anyone.
Oh man.
But a lot of people wanted Harbaugh gone. And they were still winning 9-10 games, losing to Ohio State. You know what I mean? And I got that hat right there. That bad boy's national championship. So there's hope. There's hope.
look, I get it, because the point to that was also like, what better coach are you going to get than Harbaugh? And you legitimately couldn't look out there and be like, we're going to get this better coach. I can't legitimately look out there and say we're going to get this much better of a GM. I'm not saying he should be fired right now. I'm saying right at this moment, most of the decisions that have formulated this team are his. And it's easy to blame Lalonde because he has made some really wacky decisions throughout the year. But there are a lot of things Steve Eisman could have done that he doesn't have to ask Lalonde about to make the team better. That's obviously going to make the team better, especially if you're trying to make the playoffs.
Oh, there's
You don't make the playoffs next year, I think he's got to go. They both probably got to go.
That's the next point I was going to bring up. I mean, now you've set. I mean, even though, you know, like you said, there are expectations to be in the playoffs. Now there's no excuse. Literally, there's no excuse now, because if you were supposed to be in the playoffs this year and you didn't make it because you lost head to head, by all accounts, every year you've gotten better. If you go back, if you slide back, I mean, this is a big year. I think Perron is a free agent now. Goff is a free agent.
Reimer's
gone. Kane probably won't be back. Sprong, Christian Fisher, Joe Valeno.
Petrie's got to only be on the 1 year.
I think Petrie's got one more year. Yeah. Raymond and Mo Sider are restricted free agents. So, I mean, this is you can't lose Raymond and Sider, right? So,
not if we're trying to take this serious.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, this, you know, this is it. This is the perfect year for, if you're not going to improve or get better and you lose guys, they're not losing Lucas Raymond or Mo Sider. That's just not going to happen. But
that'd be devastating.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, that'd be devastating. But you know, do you bring back David Perron? Probably not. You know,
how do you get out of the whole contract? He was terrible.
Yep.
I mean,
so I think it'll ease some minds if he goes into this offseason and at least gets one good defenseman. You're probably looking at two. Another top forward. You know, let's see what happens this offseason. Stamkos is going to be available. I know he's older, but he's still playing well instead of Patrick Kane. I mean, it all, you know, obviously it comes down to money too. Yeah, I agree. I think next year's the year if you don't get into the playoffs. I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, even if they were to get in the playoffs this season, who's to say that they would have even won a game against New York? You know what I mean? So you're right on that end too. That, I mean, if the expectations were playoffs, even if you make the playoffs to get swept, that doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a general expectation. I know it was mine, especially after they traded for DeBrincat. I just felt like the team was there to make it happen. And then, you know, they go on that run and then you get Kane and things are building. You have a 9-point lead in the end of February. It just,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
It's very frustrating. Yeah.
One of our listeners wanted to ask you guys how you felt about the goal that got called off in the Philadelphia-Washington game last night. Did you guys see that?
I didn't.
So, yeah.
That's what I was referencing with the rules.
Yeah. Right. Well, it went up. They shot it. Goalie went like this. The referee blew the whistle, but the puck was in the air, hit someone, and goes in the net. They didn't call it a goal. So they blew the whistle early. But, I mean, even then, I mean, who knows what happens after that, right? I mean,
right. Washington could have still won, you know,
right.
Just put them in OT.
Philly still would have pulled their goalie with 3 minutes left.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
To me, I don't care. I just don't.
No, that shouldn't have never ever come down to that.
That's all I'm saying. I don't need to elaborate much. It's just the destiny was in their hands. It shouldn't have been there to begin with. Like I said, you rely on other people for your results. You get what you deserve and not what you want. And that's what they deserved. Straight up.
Similar to like saying don't leave the game in the ref's hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't leave it in somebody else's. You have to. And like you said, they had that 9-point lead in February. They had it. They were there. And then the inconsistency just kept coming. Larkin gets hurt. They go on the terrible losing streak again. And then it's like, now all of a sudden they're fighting for the last wild card playoff spot. And it's like, you should have never even been in that position. But
nope.
It's how the puck falls sometimes, you know?
I mean, yeah, you lose Larkin. Like you said, you bring in Kane to kind of make it a leader. But that's also why you brought in JT Compher and Perron and all these other guys. And it's just that is the part where I do blame the coaching. And I said uninspired. They just that's what it felt like. It just very uninspired the last quarter of the season up until it was make or break time, and you had to win these last couple, except for the ones you really, really needed to win. It's like Washington and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Barely hang on to beat Montreal, who's playing for nothing. Twice. Anyway.
All right.
I love the Wings, man. I hope we get back. It just really, really burns me to think of what the team should have been able to accomplish this season and just the lack of movement at a very crucial time screwed us twice this year on 2 different leagues. And that really bothers me.
That's fair. That's fair. It's fair to feel like that, even though it's wrong.
Hey man, it's an opinion.
No, I mean, there's a lot of things you said right.
Obviously.
So yeah, still a fun season to watch. Still exciting. It kind of was playoff hockey in a way.
Stop. Stop, dude. We're talking about the Red Wings, not the Lions from 4 years ago. Okay.
So, from a team on the rise to a team in disarray, the Pistons became the worst squad in franchise history over the weekend, and the travesty is over, kind of. Tom Gores, with his nifty little plan, says he will hire a president of basketball operations, and he'll be keeping old Troy Weaver. Huh? Let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
yes.
That's up for debate still. Once they hire that president.
There's no debate. He would have fired him if he was.
Well, the president, he's going to let the president decide whether the staff's going to change or not. So that includes Monty and.
So that means he has no guts.
Pretty much.
He doesn't have the guts to do it himself.
He would have done it himself if he had the guts. He wants to hire somebody to do his dirty work for him.
Yep. Retaining Troy Weaver for now after the team finished as the worst in franchise history. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. I know who does. And it's that guy below us. I know he's been waiting. I
don't know, man. I mean,
you've had a whole season to stew on.
I've been beef stewing. Yeah. What a contract. The Pistons, man.
Let's wait for that 3-pointer to come around, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's
This
developing.
I guess that fell
Still.
through.
Dude. Dude. I'm so sick of this. I mean, how the hell can we, with a straight face, even call this a respectable franchise? A franchise with elite history, 3 titles, which is tied for 6th most in NBA history. When we have the worst record in the league, worst record in franchise history, tied for the 11th worst record ever, and we're not moving to fire the GM.
That wasn't the first move.
It's not like this is his first season. His first season as GM, we won 20 games. We're 6 games worse than that.
And you want Steve Eiserman gone.
I didn't say I want him gone. I said he's got another.
I know.
But he's close.
He's-
If you respect yourself as a franchise, no franchise in the history of sports will let this happen. Other than when Matt Millen was the GM of the Lions. And even then he fired him after his worst season. And now we're going to hire a president of basketball operations that everyone has to answer to. If that's the case, just fire Weaver. What are we doing? On top of that, dude, you guys probably saw this. A couple media outlets had Dwayne freaking Casey as one of the candidates for the job.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What the literal F is going on, man? For the millionth time, I'm going to beg. If I could get on my knees right now, I would. Tom Gores, please, for the love of God, sell the team. I looked it up for you today. You obviously know you bought the team for $325 million, which isn't even a tenth of his net worth, which tells you why he probably treats it the way he does. But maybe he doesn't know the most recent valuation of the team, but the franchise at just over $3 billion, which means you could probably sell it for $3.5 billion. That's over 10 times what you paid for it.
Mm.
Take your money, please. Kindly, respectfully, roll the out of our franchise. And please don't visit the state again. Sincerely, all of us who have cared for this franchise since we've been alive, honestly. I really don't know what else to say about it. He'll probably keep the franchise if the value continues to rise. I mean, in the midst of the worst season in franchise history, we still ranked 15th in the NBA in attendance. 15th, man. We don't deserve this. Yeah. We don't deserve what you're doing to us, man. I swear to God, if they hire Dwayne Casey for president, I'm out, man. I can't do it. I just can't do it. If they hire Dwayne Casey,
yeah, I saw that. I was like, please, not Dwayne Casey.
He's already there.
He's there.
The fact that he's there.
He literally lost his way to a promotion.
He lost his way to promotion. He's really riding on that one head coach of the year.
The team to Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey's going to be the owner of the Pistons.
Yeah.
He's just going to work his way up.
It's just so, the whole thing's just so disheartening. He doesn't have the nuts to fire the worst GM in history. I don't think there's a worse GM that's happened, who's made worse. I mean, I think record wise, even I said other than when we've talked about like the process Sixers, but that's different. They were trying to lose.
Mm-hmm.
This is legitimate malpractice, man. This is bad. This is really bad. How does nobody get fired? There isn't a company, there isn't a team that this exists in the world where you can be the worst, and nobody is losing their job.
It's like we're adding a job.
I don't know anywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. They don't have stats for that, but it's got to be close, right?
The most we won in a season was 23 games in his 7th season as GM. 20 his first year, 23 the next year, less every year after that.
It's because
and we've had the number one pick.
Shot.
It's really depending on that beef stew 3-pointer.
Dear Lord.
It's like, please, beef. Please develop.
Did you see? Yeah.
We need you.
I'm gonna beg you, beef.
I'm gonna beg you, beef.
Dude, I mean, if Jalen Duren could learn how to shoot a jump shot, that would probably take this team to the next level. I love the kid, man, but he is really just kind of right now. He's just been Jordan 2.0.
Yeah.
I don't want him. I don't want to see him go. I'm not saying anything like that. I really like Jalen Duren, but man, if that kid could get a shot from 8 foot away from the basket, I mean, that would that would do a lot. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
just a mid-ranger, just a midi.
I hope it's developing. I believe it. He's only 20.
Yeah.
Beef Stew is what, 48? Still developing.
What is he, like 24?
Yeah, he's still pretty
Beef
young.
Stew?
Yeah. Like 24, 25.
He's got to be turning 25 if he's 24. I mean, the guy. Did he get a COVID year or something? I mean, what the heck's going on here?
So this episode, I've learned that Eddie hates Steve Yzerman and Jalen Duren and wants Dwayne Casey as the owner of the Pistons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the only thing I didn't even hint at. Was the Dwayne Casey. I said I'm out, dude. I'm honestly, if they hire Dwayne Casey as the president of this shit show, I just don't think I can. I say it now because it's easy to say now. I just don't think I could be. I just don't think I could. I can't watch. I can't watch the game.
I can barely watch it now.
It's rough.
It's a rough watch.
I can only watch them go down 25 points for so long.
Just hoping for one of those 14 wins. 13 wins.
And then you're watching the Red Wings lose, 2-1 to the Capitals when they need it. Whatever. So, it is what it is. Let's talk about the Tigers. Let's go with that. Weekly Tigers update. Tigers went 3-4 with the loss to the Rangers today. They split with the Twins, and if they win tomorrow, they'll split with the Rangers. They go to Minnesota and Tampa for the next 6 games in the next week. Kind of a blah week, huh? Wasn't great, wasn't terrible. I don't know. Someone wanted me to ask what your guys' thoughts are on Torkelson not hitting any home runs so far.
I mean, that's what he's being paid to do, which is kind of hurts the batting for sure, because they're already extremely sporadic when it comes to getting hits, as we somewhat discussed last week. But I mean, It's the MLB, man. I don't know. I mean, we're just hoping that he doesn't turn into a Javi Baez. That's really I don't know. That'd be bad.
You know how
if all of a
bad you
sudden-
gotta be to turn into that?
when people are making
gotta be-
highlight videos of you swinging and missing.
You gotta be real bad.
You gotta
I
be
got
pretty
stuff
bad.
about Javi for when we talk further into the Tigers. But as far as Torque not hitting home runs, it sucks, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
it really sucks. We really need him to produce some RBI.
Mhm.
Whether that's home runs or at least, getting that slugging percentage up. I mean, it goes further than just the home run number. He's gotta be hitting into the corner, of the outfield and getting moving guys. I mean, that's where he's supposed to be doing it. And he's really letting us down.
Mhm.
It's April.
Right.
Okay. So we'll take it with a grain of salt. And he really kicked it up at the end of last year. But are we really waiting for that again?
Right.
Torque needs to go. I'm just kidding.
He has 71 at bats so far this year. He struck out 17 of them. That puts it at, if you round it up, 24% of his at bats he struck out. He has 6 RBIs, which looks like third on the team, but he's only batting 211. And that's not great. I mean, Javi's batting 151.
Right.
Just stealing money,
Stealing it.
just smiling as he's striking out. How many strikeouts that guy?
Oh yeah,
got?
doing one of these bad boys, huh?
Yeah. Oh, ooh, yes. Talk to me. What you got for Javi?
Javi, dude. What don't I have for Javi, dude? Javi freaking sucks, man. I mean, he ranks 183rd out of 188 players who qualify for rankings.
That's not bad.
For
not
players who
last.
average 3.1 plate appearances a game. Well, the highest on our team is Mark Canna at 222, which is good for 121st. That's our top guy. But Baez is 183 out of the 188. He just needs to sit his ass down. I mean, honestly, the one thing about him, though, can you DH a shortstop? Is that possible? Can we let our pitchers hit? I mean, Javi is having a Gold Glove-ish season at he's that good right now at shortstop.
Right.
But can we get 90% of that with Zach McKinstry and move up Henry Malloy? Let Henry Malloy play third or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's bad, dude. 183 out of 188.
That's not good.
That's about where he was last year too. It's
right.
He should be embarrassed. He's out there doing this because you hit one home run on 20-some mil this year. Dude, it's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed.
For sure.
He is leading the league in stolen bases. Or the team, sorry, not the league.
I was like, really?
2?
He's got 3.
He's on base enough to steal bases? I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, he's making the most of his chances, I guess.
Well, I think he's trying to swing less.
Yeah,
he's gotten a few walks.
He's got one.
One walk?
1 walk and 15 strikeouts.
I thought he had one today, and I thought he had at least 1 or 2. No, clearly not.
And now I'm just looking. This might not be updated.
Well, if he only had 1 before today, I mean, we're not talking about much here. So I know he had 1 today. So what? At most, he has 2. Right. I thought he had more than that.
His on base percentage is 175.
Okay.
No, that's not okay. That's terrible. That's not good.
Look, it's one thing. That's not terrible if you just brought a guy up from AAA this year.
Right.
It's super shitty if you're getting paid $25 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, I'm not saying anything you guys don't know. He pisses me off, man. I mean, I'm fired up for this episode, dude. There's a lot of stuff I'm frustrated with right now. The Wings not making the playoffs when they should have. The Pistons having the worst season in franchise history. The Tigers paying a guy $25 million a year to be the worst player possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your Mount
Thankfully,
Rushmore.
they got a winning record. What's that?
So your Mount Rushmore this week is Steve Eisman, Javi Baez, Beef Stew, and Troy Weaver. Take away Beef Stew, put Tom Gores in there.
Then Dwayne Casey's just kind of taking pipictures of
just looking at you.
Just looking at you, just smiling. Like
he's
getting pictures taken of him in front of this Mount Rushmore that you've got.
Yeah, I'm the president.
Hey man, good for him if he gets the job.
Yeah, he must interview well.
Great interviewer.
He's a great interviewer.
Lose your way to the top.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it, I guess. So, all right. Let's go on to some.
You know who pisses me off?
Who's that?
Freaking Barry Sanders. Overrated. Trash.
Absolute trash.
Real quick, as we're preparing for the upcoming draft and unveiling of the new jerseys, Jared Goff made some headlines this week when he went on the Wilbo's Trading Cards podcast and talked about how negative the Detroit media can be. Little did I know that our very own Eddie would trash everything Detroit this week.
Don't let me get into the sign.
Oh, the new sign. It looks
the
nice
Dollar
at
Tree
night.
sign out there.
It looks nice at night. Lit up. Someone said they ordered it off Temu.
Oh yeah. GMAT Cash. Well, he said Wish.
So Jared Goff, he said, I have this I probably need to drop it pretty soon here, but because I'm hopefully going to be in Detroit for a long time, but I have this thing with our local media where they like to almost, paraphrasing there, relish in negativity at times. And maybe that's what gets clicks and that's what sells, but it's no longer what they need to live in. Like, hey guys, we have a good team. We've had success. We can be happy about that. We can celebrate that and not have to write about how we're constantly the underdog. No, teams are going to be gunning for us now. We won the division, all that. Probably overthinking it in my head, and it's the chip on my shoulder and the competitor in him. Do you agree that the Detroit media is always negative?
Always is a strong word, but I kind of see what he's saying, though. I do feel like, I mean, maybe not necessarily just the media, but just like the Detroit fans in general, as soon as something goes wrong, especially when it comes to Jared Goff, because of how let's face it, we all perceived him when he came over as the throwaway piece in that trade. I mean, given I know the three of us at least were at least gonna give him a chance, but a lot of people were extremely negative about him coming here. He's gonna die on this team. This is where his career is gonna die and all this stuff. And and that did get a lot of coverage. Given they were getting a lot of good coverage too, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was from the Detroit media, though. It was from national media, obviously, because that's how they became so popular over the course of the season. But I mean, I could see it. I think a lot of it is, just a lot of the local Detroit media, have covered the team for years and years and years, and they still have that same old Lions mentality to them. and not necessarily, and then when things are really good, they'll pat you on the back. But if you lose a game because of a certain play, it's going to get called out, which is fine, and it should be, but it's never just one play that loses you the full game. So they say. Sometimes, sometimes you're like, well, that play definitely lost us the game, but but I agree with what he was saying in a sense. But I also feel like they do pat him on the back quite a bit too. So
yeah, Jared, if you want to come talk about this some more on the BD Sports Talk podcast, we'd love to have you. There's a little spot right next to Eddie there that we could get you on. Talk about it, Eddie. You and Eddie can go at it.
I'll tell him he's wrong.
Go for it.
I'll tell him he's wrong right now. I don't see that. I really don't. When he first got here, yes. To what Dean was talking about, but after that 8-2 last year, the media was very hyped up. I thought locally more so than nationally about them being able to win the division, win a playoff game. And then I thought through the season, the local media was very supportive throughout the whole season last year. Other than if wacky Dan Campbell calls. I just didn't see, I never saw anybody being like, oh, Goff is the reason we're not making it. You don't see anything like that. I think the only thing that came up was from our local media was before the NFC Championship game when one of the Detroit writer guys asking him San Francisco has all these all-star big names. Detroit's kind of the underdog chip. And I remember Jared Goff having a real sharp, snarky kind of answer oh, we got good guys too. St. Brown's pro. He's Panay's an all-pro. And the guy's oh yeah, like that. And I feel like that's kind of what he held on to. Because other than that, it's almost been as much of a blue wall for them as they usually are for Michigan. I thought this year specifically. So I'm not sure I'm on board totally with the recent coverage because I felt like the local media was very much behind the Lions at least more than any other time that I can remember, at least paying attention to media. I'm sure they were back in the mid to early 90s, but yeah, well, I just didn't. I'm not sure I see completely what he's talking about. He probably takes it way more personal because he's on the team and he's a very important figure on the team.
But. Well, and I'm sure to some extent, there's probably things that we might not see where they're Goff's not going to be the guy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It could be. I don't see a lot of Detroit media in that sense. But
there was some guys. All right, yeah. To that, there was some guys I know on Detroit radio who leading up until maybe they won that first playoff game. They're we're not sure Goff is our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Long term,
right? And I don't know. That's what I took from what he said. I didn't know. I never really thought about it being the whole team or the franchise in general. I thought it was more of the things that were aimed at him. Because we're guilty of it too. We've said before, we don't know if Goff can be the guy to propel that team to a Super Bowl. And that's a fair question. It's not dogging him. I think he can get us to a Super Bowl. I think he can win a Super Bowl. It's not just he's a big part, huge part of the team, but it's still a team. You don't have a defense, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. So I that's what I took from it. Yeah, Goff, come on. Let us was it about you? Was it about the team in general, the franchise? I need to know. I need you here. Come on. Get here, Goff. No, but he's the best quarterback I've seen in a while that's played for the Lions. So, besides Stafford. I mean, who else you got?
That's J-Mo.
What do you think? What do you think,
That's
J-Mo?
J-Mo.
What do you think, J-Mo?
Excited for the unveiling of the Lions unis tomorrow, huh, fellas?
Oh, that's tomorrow, huh?
That's tomorrow. Did you see the sneak peek video?
Mm-mm. I didn't even know it was 3 days ago. Well, when this comes out,
nice.
it'll be-
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there have been people that have the black jerseys with the old Lion. And
I mean, when you guys see this, I mean, y'all have seen it. Comment. I mean,
yeah.
what do you think of the jerseys? Because we haven't seen them as of while we're recording, so
Right.
we're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let us know what you think. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let us know. What's going to be your favorite combo? That's what I'm looking for. So, what about the logo? Is it a new logo? We don't know yet, but you will. So, all right, let's get out of here. Good episode this week, fellas. Remember, the Rushmore is Troy Weaver, Tom Gores, Javi Baez, and Steve Eiserman.
Stevie White doesn't belong up there with those guys.
With Dwayne Casey getting his pictures taken in front of it.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this week's episode. If you liked what you watched or heard, be sure to like the video, hit us up with a comment, let us know about the new Lions uniforms. If you agree with Eddie and his take on firing Steve Eiserman, check out. Feel free to check out last week's episode. That's below me, right next to Eddie right now. Hit the logo that's below Dean. Subscribe. And if you are watching this on YouTube, and if you are listening, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great week.
Sports Talk.